The mole had long wanted to make the acquaintance of the badger. He seemed by all accounts to be such an important personage, and though rarely visible, to make his unseen influence felt by everybody about the place. But whenever the mole mentioned his wish to the water-rat, he always found himself put off.
"It's all right," the rat would say. "Badger'll turn up some day or other. He's always turning up, and then I'll introduce you. The best of fellows, but you must not only take him as you find him, but when you find him."
The mole had to be content with this, but the badger never came along. Summer was long over, and cold and frost and miry ways kept them much indoors, but there was plenty to talk about on these short winter days when the animals found themselves round the fire. Still, the mole had a good deal of spare time on his hands, so one afternoon, when the rat, in his armchair before the blaze, was alternately dozing and trying over rhymes that wouldn't fit, he formed the resolution to go out by himself and explore the wildwood, and perhaps strike up an acquaintance with Mr. Badger. There was nothing to alarm him at first entry. Everything was very still. The dusk advanced on him steadily, rapidly, gathering in behind and before, and the light seemed to be draining away like flood water. Then the faces began. It was over his shoulder and indistinctly that he first thought he saw a face, a little evil, wedge-shaped face, looking out at him from a hole. When he turned and confronted it, the thing had vanished. He swung off the path and plunged into the untrodden places of the wood. Then the whistling began. Very faint and shrill it was, and far behind him when first he heard it, but somehow it made him hurry forward. Then, still very faint and shrill, it sounded far ahead of him, and made him hesitate and want to go back. They were up and alert and ready, evidently, whoever they were, and he was alone and unarmed and far from any help, and the night was closing in. Then the pattering began. He thought it was only falling leaves at first, so slight and delicate was the sound of it. Then, as it grew, it took a regular rhythm, and he knew it for nothing else but the pat, pat, pat of little feet, still a very long way off. The pattering increased till it sounded like a sudden hail on the dry leaf carpet spread round him. The whole wood seemed running now, running hard, hunting, chasing, closing in round something or somebody. At last he took refuge in the dark, deep hollow of an old beech tree, and as he lay there, panting and trembling, and listening to the whistlings and the patterings outside, he knew it at last, that thing which the rat had vainly tried to shield him from, the terror of the wildwood.